Hi, I'm Matt Katz. I'm a grade 11 student from Vancouver, Canada, and this year I participated in Google Coding with the MIFOS initiative. First, I'm just going to talk about a couple things I worked on and what I learned. So one of the first things that I noticed was how multidisciplinary Google Coding actually was. It's not just a coding competition. So first of all, I worked on research briefs, profiles, and presentations. Uh, my favorite one was PSD2, which is the European Union's new Payment Services Directive. I also wrote some documentation. I wrote a guide on how to set up a developer environment in Fedora. And also I did a ton of coding. I mostly worked on the community app, which is Mifos's AngularJS web app for their Fineract platform. I added a feature to edit and delete client notes. I also added another feature to do a similar thing with client signatures. And I also fixed the bug that kept the webcam turned on even after the screen for that closed. So it felt really great to make some fixes that actually in the end got pushed to the GitHub repository. There are also some design and quality assurance tasks. I didn't really do these because I didn't have the skill set for them, but it's pretty clear that there's something for everyone in Google Coding. The biggest shock to me was the proper use of GitHub. I previously only used GitHub for personal projects where it didn't really matter that much, so I would comment to it and push to it whenever I want, and it was all a mess. Of course, you can't do that in a repository that perhaps hundreds or thousands of people even are all trying to help with. So I had to learn pretty quickly what a pull request was, how to submit an issue, how to reference an issue, etc. in order to use GitHub to its full effect. I also learned some important things about communication, documentation, and also just kind of how to style HTML to make sure it's readable. Um, this is an app used by millions of people, so it's pretty important that people actually know what my code does, that it's not too messy. For me, the most valuable part of this whole 7-week experience was the feeling of accomplishment. As I just said, Mifos, uh, they're a legitimate platform. They have millions of users, and they're actually helping unbanked people all around the world. So that feeling of making a real difference was key to my enjoyment and the passion that I think I was able to have for this competition. Mifos's tagline is "Ending poverty one line of code at a time," which definitely gave me some inspiration for that. And it really felt good to perhaps think that a feature that I could have added could have made someone's experience better halfway across the globe in Kenya or India or some other country. So I have 3 tips for prospective GCI participants next year or in the following years. These are, I think, the 3 key factors that I found I needed in order to have a good time and, uh, have discipline and be dedicated in this competition. So the first one, obviously, is have passion. This is pretty much the most important one, and it's basically necessary if you actually want to make a difference. If you're not passionate, it's going to be really hard, especially if you're in a place like where I am and the States, and I'm sure many other countries where you have a winter break. It's going to be really hard to wake up and actually put in work, try to complete tasks every single day or every other day if you don't have passion for what you're doing. As well, the passion will cause you to seek out other opportunities to learn. This is really great for Mifos because they hosted an AMA session, and recently they also hosted a presentation on Mojaloop, which is another financial inclusion platform, uh, and they were both very informative. So it was definitely great to see both of those and learn a lot. The good thing is as well, if time zones don't work for you, they upload a recording to YouTube so everyone can participate. Yeah, Mifos just makes it very easy to be passionate. As I said before, it's a legitimate app, so the passion kind of comes along with that, which is one of the reasons why I actually chose Mifos. Number 2 is don't be afraid to ask for help. Now, I actually probably completely failed at this on the first or second day, and I really regret it because I probably caused a lot of headache. for the mentors, and for myself as well. So I'm definitely someone, and I think a lot of coders are like this, where we don't like to ask for help, but we have to understand that the mentors are there to help us, and they're so friendly, they're super nice, um, and honestly, I might still be stuck doing my second task if I hadn't received help uh, from my mentors. So uh, yeah, I at the start I didn't really know anything about AngularJS, so I spent a while trying to figure it out on my own, but it's notoriously difficult. So I think I bothered my mentor for that, maybe a little bit too much, but I hope I made it up to them by not needing much help after that. Number three is be friendly. I was pretty pleasantly surprised by how cordial the community was when I joined the chat rooms, especially for a very competitive um, competition. Still, in the Mifos chat and also other chats that I heard from my friends, there have been some aspects of negativity. I think even if you're a competitive person, a lot of people are, it's important to treat other people with respect, both the mentors and the students, especially considering the spirit of open source. The best thing to do is maintain a collaborative environment and kind of foster different ideas that way. And it's just better for everyone overall if everyone's nice to each other. So the last thing I want to touch on is why other students should participate in GCI and why they should do it with me folks. Um, so actually, prior to the competition in November, I actually spent about a week looking through the 25 organizations and choosing which one to participate in. And I chose Mifos in the end for three reasons. The first one was impact. Around 7 million people actually use their app, so I knew that I was working on a project that was viable, that had merit, and my time was being spent well. Second, and I think this is pretty much the most important one, was a tight-knit and active community. Especially in open source, I think a community can definitely make or break a project. And the chat rooms, when I first joined, I joined a bunch of GCI orgs chat rooms, and Mifos was the one I was most impressed with. The chat is both kind of paradoxically laid back and friendly, but they're also quite vigilant when someone needs assistance. I think I've rarely seen someone message that they need help and not get a response within the next half hour. So everyone is willing to help, even if they're not necessarily an expert. It seems like everyone is willing to make an effort to help other people, and I thought that that really resonates with the whole spirit of Google Code and open source as a whole. Number three was diversity of tasks. When I first saw GCI, I thought it was just a coding competition. In fact, coding is only one of the five types of challenge that we are able to undertake. So many of the tasks I actually did were based on research, writing, documentation, um, adding stuff to Excel spreadsheets, etc. This really helped me kind of understand um, why Mifos was doing it. So the code helped how they were financially including people, but the research helped me understand why this was such an important and issue that needed to be tackled on many fronts. So overall, my Mifos and Google Coding was an excellent experience. I would recommend it to anyone at all levels. I'm a pretty experienced coder, I think, on the spectrum of things, but there are many people who uh, probably may only know HTML or CSS, and they can definitely find things to work on. So yeah, don't be afraid to join. Everyone's super friendly and willing to help. And I hope to see more people in the chat around GCI time next year. See ya.